Hey, happy Monday, YouTube. Well, I don't have my glasses on. It's an overcast day here, and I've got to use external light. Anyway, so one of my subs asked me a question, so I want to read it and respond to it. Okay. Okay. Someone, this I think this thing was called subs and viewers, something talking about people buying subs. Anyway, in that clip, I talked about being a writer, writing books, and my struggle to get reviews. Okay, so this person says her name is. Oh, I'm sorry. His name is Seth. Seth Ivy. He wrote this yesterday. He says, "Can you please give more information on how to get a book published, edited, etc." And then one of the comments under that is from Electra Flavor. Says, I'm a writer too. This would be a great idea. Thanks for asking him the question. Okay, so I'll address this. Okay, so getting the book published has changed a lot. It's even in 10 years that I was writing. Okay, so here's what happened. Okay, maybe 12 years ago, I started writing a book, a life story, right? Primarily about my drug addiction and how I got out of drug addiction, my path out of it. And hold on a minute, let me get this right. Okay, so I just woke up one morning and decided I want to write my book. I didn't nothing I gave a lot of thought to. You know, I'm a spiritual person, so for me, it's just God telling me, okay, it's time to write your book. So when I got the idea, I just got up from my bed and went to my computer, turned it on, and started writing. I did happen to have a Word software on my computer, so I didn't know anything about writing. And I'll be honest with you, I'm a dyslexic person, so I have problems with I stutter so bad, and I read just as bad, and spelling. A lot of things about reading, writing are difficult for me. But God said do it, so I did it. So I sat down and I started writing this book. Now, I fell in love with writing. The biggest thing about writing is discipline. You have to have the discipline. There were many days when I got up and I would start writing and nothing would come out. But I would at least get a paragraph and a half, and that's all I would get done that day. And what I learned was, if I did that every day, at some point I'll have a book. It took me about a year. When the first book, it's small. Let me give you my show and tells here. Okay, so this book is a small Meth Monster. It's a book about deliverance from drug addiction, but it's my very first book. Now, up until that time, I hadn't even written. Bluntest thing I ever written was a letter. I did write good letters, though. I say that. But in high school, I remember my teachers thinking I had some potential to write something. But I had this issue with dyslexia, and I got sidetracked after school. Anyway, why did I say all that? Okay. Start writing this book. The biggest thing is discipline. If you sit down and your goal is to write a page a day, you figure, well, there are 365 days in a year. If I write every day for 365 days, I have a book that's 365 pages, right? That's a decent goal, actually. I think. I mean, it's a great goal. Your books doesn't have to be that long, but if you can do half that much, you still got a book to a couple hundred pages. Anyway, for me, sometimes nothing will come out. I think writing your own life story is simpler than writing fiction, because the things actually happen. All you have to do is basically record what happened as best you can. Get it all down on paper. I would say get it all down on computer. That's the way I did it. I'm only going to speak out what I know. So a lot of people would try to take their handwritten notes, and some writers write this way: handwritten things, computer things, notes, diaries, and all journals and all that, and figure, well, I've got a book here. Well, you do, but when it comes down to actually putting it all together, it's much better if you have it all in one document. Okay, so my suggestion would be, if you don't have Word or some kind of writing software on your computer, get it on there, because it makes things a lot easier. Okay, so basically all you need to do is come up with your first page needs to be perfect. perfect for you. In other words, you need to get all your formatting things worked out on your first page of your document, because then when you add pages as you go along, there's an element on there which will match the formatting from the first page. So you want to get that the way you kind of want the book, the way you want to write. Now, of course, this is going to go through edits and so forth. Anyway, so sometimes only a paragraph come out, sometimes a paragraph and a half. But in 1 year, I had a book. Rough. When I was in drug program, I knew this guy who worked as an editor for a magazine. This gay magazine here in San Francisco. And we were still friends after program. So just casually, we were just talking. I was saying, I've been working on the book. And he offered to help me. He said, well, are you almost finished? He happened to be in the writing, working on his master's at San Francisco State. And he said, well, I'll help you. Let me take a look at it. So I told him, well, I'm just about finished. So I finished the book, gave it to him, and he ended up being my editor for my first 2 books. Now, he used that project as his, is it called a thesis? Or however, when you get your master's, you need to do a big writing project. Well, this is what he used. So we helped each other out in that respect. But, so I finished it. Okay, after I finished that book, of course, I knew nothing about publishing, nothing at all about writing. And when I was in prison, I did become quite a reader, though, because there's not much else you can do in there but read. So I read quite a few books in there. Not with the idea of someday writing. I just read a lot of books. Anyway, I said all that to say. When I finished that project, so I just got online and I found this thing. It's called a. First, I was just going to take it to Kinko's and make just a couple of copies for me and maybe certain friends of mine. I just wanted to get the thing in print. But as I researched online, found this company. These are called Vanity Presses. Now, these were very popular 12 years ago when I finished this book. Vanity Presses. In other words, you didn't need to get a publisher. You just go in there, you pay them a fee, and they will turn, your file into a book. And in many ways, it did kind of meet that. It did what I was looking for. I just wanted to get a book made, and I think it was about $700, something like that. I was a poor person, so someone at my church just volunteered to give me the money to get it published. If thought the story should be told, and so, but that was a bad thing because they really didn't do anything with the book. Their basic thing is to format and put together a book, and then they sell you. But basically, they end up selling most of the copies to the author, and it's up to you how many you sell. You do have a good professional-looking book. This looks like a book, But they're not going to do much work as far as you selling the book. You have to do it on your own. And a lot of times you end up buying most of the copies yourself. Okay, so that was the Vanity Press. My second book, Love and Gospel Music. Okay, because when I found out I actually like writing when I wrote the first one. So that was just to purge myself. Or just to tell my life story, what I went through. But the second one, Love and Gospel Music. This book is supposed to be fiction, right? But, you have to write what you know. So the first part of the book, I just started writing from my own experience, what it was like for me being a child. So for the first chapter, this person looks a lot like me, even my grandmother, who ended up being my biggest fan of that book. No, she hated the second book. She liked the first one. Okay. Anyway, so I just started writing about what my life was like as a child. By the age of 12, which is after the, I think, second chapter, the person started having his own personality. So it kind of changed from there. But you started off with writing what you know and built from there. This book was called Love and Gospel Music. It's primarily about gay men in the gospel music industry. I have a story to tell about that, but I don't want this video to be an hour long. But it's kind of a story I felt I wanted to tell. So it's a love story. It's a coming of age story. That book was a lot bigger. Okay, so This book was about 3 times as big as the first book, and that one took a long time. It took time, not the writing necessarily. I wrote it in about a year and a half, writing every day. Some days I get a paragraph. Some days on good days I could get a page, page and a half, occasionally 2 pages, but it was a slow slog. Year and a half. Fiction is something you're making up, so it's a whole lot harder to do than telling your real story. Anyway, so when I got through with that book, year and a half, I my old editor. No, let me finish this. On the first book, I had the editor, right? The guy that I knew worked in a magazine. He worked as an editor. He was getting his master's. Okay. After he finished, there were still flaws. So even if you have an editor, a good editor, a semi-professional editor, you still need a proofreader. I found that out very early. So I was telling my aunt about the project and how it was coming along. She asked me to send her the book. She was a teacher, an English teacher. So she knew English language. So this woman I hadn't seen in 30 years, but we just reconnected online. I sent her the pages. She would make changes, corrections in the file, send it back to me. I would put the changes into the book. So it was 3 people: the writer, me, my editor Terry, that's his name, and then my aunt Rachel from Florida. That's how we put the first one together, right? The second one, Terry did the editing on that book also. And let me see, what stood out about that? So like I said, it was a much longer process. He works full time. You know, he's got a job and a life. So I only had access to him once a week. So it took a lot longer to edit this book. As I said, it was 3 times the size of this other book. I think it was about 350, 360 pages. No, it was over 400 pages. It was quite a bit of book there. And we only had 1 day a week to work, maybe an hour, hour and a half. So it took a long time to edit it. So that went on for another couple of years, actually. And who the proofreader on that book was? The proofreader on it, I don't even remember who proofread it. I'm not even sure if it got proofread. It had to be, because it was in order. Yeah. So Terry edited. I don't think I had a proofreader on that. I mean, we're going back about 12. That was about 10 years ago, so I don't remember. But I don't remember who the editor was. I mean, the proofreader was on that one. Maybe I proofread it myself. I don't remember. But it was basically done after Terry did it, because I mean we took a long time with that book. First with the writing, then editing, and I would basically try my best to not touch it after he edited the pages. Right? Okay, so I'll stop there and talk about what you need. First of all, you need to write the book. All this other talk, I wouldn't even worry about it. First of all, you need to write the book. If you can get it all in one file, concentrate on one thing at a time. Get the book done. Get it in a file. So Word is what I know. I'm sure there are other systems. Another important thing to remember: do not be paying people money to do this stuff for you. You can do it yourself. Write the book if you can get it in a file. So if you got Word, if you got it on Word, at the end of the thing, when you get ready to publish the book, it's only going to be about you having a finished file, one file on a computer. You're going to download the file, and you're going to download the cover that they will help you design. So it gets, that other part is pretty easy. The main thing is to write the book. Okay. So let me see. I'm trying to think of what else to tell you about that. Yeah. So that time I used the same publisher, Vanity Press. It was about $1,000 I think I spent on that book, and a benefactor paid for that one as well. So it didn't cost me anything. People willing to believe in me. I got a lot of encouragement to write after the first one. At any rate, So that one I used the Vanity Press as well. Now this Vanity Press thing ended up being a nightmare for me, or not a good thing for me, because I'm paying those people to publish my book, right? But what I'm doing is I'm also signing a contract with those people. Like for me, I continue to write after that, but I could never adjust the prices on its original books. I could never change the cover. It was all had to go through them, and I had to continually buy my books through them. So even though I could lower the price on almost everything I did, particularly when the ebook came out, I couldn't adjust the price on those because I was under contract with those vanity presses. So I don't recommend doing it that way. All right, what am I at? 15 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna try, do my best. Okay. So after I did that one, then I wrote another book. Which one was it? Okay, this one. Then I wrote this one, Epiphany. Epiphany, it is. And no, it's not misspelled. Epiphany are they're like angels, basically. They're epiphanies, but they're at a physical form. Anyway, supernaturals. But that is considered to be my best work, my best book as far as the reviews go. I got full page reviews on that book, and everyone who read it, that really caught their attention. So I consider it to be my best book, my best work. But that one, I just had a friend of mine, because Terry, he had gone, his life had gotten very, very busy, and I didn't want to work on this slow. I wanted to work on it fast. I wanted to learn how to push books out. We spent almost 4 years on that first novel. I didn't want to do that again. So I just I did it the best I could do it. Now I use this thing, like I said, I'm dyslexic, so I use this program, this software on my computer, where my computer is a reader. It's called Read Please. So after I write a page, I put it in this reader. It reads it back to me. So I'm able to correct a lot of mistakes because I'm hearing it read back to me. So I did a lot of that as far as trying to get the pages as good as I can get them. Then I had a friend of mine who just he wasn't even an English major, I don't think, but he was an avid reader. And he did, his name's Gamage. He did this book for me, and it did a pretty good job of it. I mean, that is my best book, my best work. You go to Amazon, you see some very good reviews on that particular book. It's called The Epiphany. It's a sequel to the first book. I wasn't planning on writing no big long series. I was just writing one book, and then after that, at the end of that book, you'll see if the story needs to go on. So it ended up being a 4-book series. Okay, but now what happened was I went and started a GoFundMe for that project, The Epiphany. Finished the book, concentrated on just finishing the book. I started the GoFundMe. Money was coming very slow, but still, it was enough to finish the book. To get the book done. So I went on Facebook and I was telling some guy on there, what's his name? Anyway, some guy, young, gay, black guy on there saw that I was working on this project. I was trying to get money together to publish it. And he said, well, why don't you just publish it with Amazon? So I said, what do you mean? Is it cheaper? He said, no, it doesn't cost you any money at all. Amazon started a company, CreateSpace.com, where Amazon themselves, they actually publish the book. You don't pay any money, and what they get out of it is when you sell books, you buy them from them, and they get a cut of what you sell. So when I heard about that, it's like, ooh. First, I didn't think I could do it. I said, well, I don't know anything about that. But I was very disappointed in these vanity presses when I realized, oh, I can do this. It's not all that. So my advice, because I don't want to be over 20 minutes with this. My advice, first of all, finish your book. Try to finish your book on one file. Do not finish your book with a few pages here, a few pages from high school, a few pages from there. No, you got to get it all in a file. That's the key thing. If you don't have Word, there are other programs that you can do it on. But Word is the one that's easy to work with, because what they're going to do is you're going to go to this Amazon company. They have 2 companies. One is Amazon. One is CreateSpace.com. That gives you a hard book, one of these. That's your hard book, right? they'll walk you through the whole process, and basically you just have to make sure that it's edited well. They do run it through a rough process to see if it's edited well enough to publish. All they're gonna require is a file. That's the book. Your file. You can have a file that runs 600 pages if you want to. And they're gonna need a cover. The cover you can create yourself, or what I did was I used Fiverr, that company I was talking about in my last video. They'll direct you to where you can go and pick out a picture, which is the same thing I did with Vanity Presses. You pick out the picture you want on your cover, or you can use a picture of yourself on this. Okay, this is my second to the last book. Can you see it? Isn't that a nice cover? This cover was a picture. A friend of mine was on vacation, and he had taken these pictures in, I think it was in Rome, near the Vatican or something, somewhere in Rome. And I liked that picture so much that I contacted him and asked him, can I use that picture? He said, sure, use it. So he sent me the picture. Then I went on their, so I didn't use Fiverr for that particular book, but you can just get a picture, go to Fiverr. They'll put the print on there, tell you, because it's only a few words on the cover, really. But they can come up with a cover design. You take that file, you can get that done for $5, believe it or not. Sometimes they're extra expenses, but if you got a picture, they can make a cover out of it. Or CreateSpace, they have an option you can create the picture right there. You can create the file right there yourself. Get the CreateSpace. They walk you all the way through the whole process. Okay. There's another company called KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing. That is the ebook. Now I'll tell you, ebooks are selling a lot more books than hard books. Most of my books, they sell ebook form. I wanted a hard copy, mainly for the books that I sell myself. Some people still do like hard books, but primarily people buy ebooks on Amazon because you can sell them so cheap. You can sell them $2.99, whereas the book costs you $10. Okay, so I think that's it. CreateSpace to get the book. So if I were you and you're considering writing the book, you can go to CreateSpace at any point and check out what you're going to need, how the system works. You don't got to sign up for anything that you pay for, although they have options that you can hire an editor on there and so forth. The editing is the most expensive part. So if you can find a friend or somebody you know who you trust is detailed enough, detail oriented enough to edit your book, you can use a friend. Now most people will tell you you have to use a professional or whatever, because those people mostly are in the book business and they're selling their services basically. So it's not necessary you have to give them money. A good friend will do it for you, and it will still work. Particularly if you use a proofreader after you and that person is finished, someone else to proofread it. You'll be fine with that. Okay, what else did I try to cover? KDP is the ebook. I did cover that. Okay, and that's basically it. All the information is on CreateSpace.com or KindleKDP.com. They're the same company. They're both Amazon companies. There's also a way they have another company, which the name slips me, but who makes audio books. I did have one of those. My first book was narrated by an actor, and you can also get that done. You have to partner with someone to do that. Okay, so I hope I helped a little bit. Main thing is, don't pay somebody to do this. The best thing, of course, is to find a publisher. Now, that's a whole nother route, but I know nothing about still, so I'm not going to try to give people advice about something I haven't experienced myself. So if you want to be successful in a monetary way, it's always going to be better to have an actual publisher. But if you just want to write a book, see what you can do, because it may take that for you to find out if you can write. Do the first book, just get a book done. You got a product. Okay, I went on 25 minutes. I was trying to get in there about 15, so there's a lot to try to cram in. But best of luck to you. Thanks for the question. I do like talking about writing, and And currently, I'm kind of is it blocked? I don't know, but I don't want to write anymore. I feel like I wrote that series out, and so I'm still searching for the next project. Okay, later.